Hello everyone, my name is William from 222 Productions, and I am here to talk to you about the American Ninja Warrior Season 11 Season Finale. That's right, the final episode of the season, featuring runs from Stage 3 and the final stage, also known as Stage 4, of the grammatically incorrect Mount Midoriyama course, and I am going to tell you all this information in however long it takes me to do it, because this is Las Vegas, baby. There is no time limit. They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Sometimes that's true. Most of the time, it really isn't. We got a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about, in addition to all the runs that we saw in Stage 3 and Stage 4. We're going to be talking about some of the unfortunate things that happened off camera that you did not see, as well as some stuff about the future of American Ninja Warrior, as well as things like the ratings, what I'd like to see, and in the end, we will also be reviewing my predictions and seeing how I did in the end. How good was I? Could have been better, but hey, certainly could have been worse. So, why don't you say we get things started, shall we? Come on, let's go. Alrighty then. Let's get things started now, shall we? Go! So, Stage 3. Let's just get this out of the way. There was a little bit of shenanigans with Stage 3. I was told by multiple sources who were at Vegas, including one person who told me straight to my face, so there can't even be a case of mistaken identity with this one, that they changed the course midway. So what happened was, the first night, this was right after Stage 2, they ran the first 9 competitors, and because there were so many people, they were apparently rushing the competitors through with not a lot of rest. Basically, we're talking like seconds of rest, not even like a half a second of rest, like closer to 10 from what I was told. And the first 9 people all failed the cliffhanger, with the exception of one person. At this point, the production cuts off the taping. They resumed the next night, which was supposed to be the USA versus the World night, and actually still was. Just a little behind-the-scenes knowledge. And they end up changing the course. To my understanding, they changed the cliffhanger path, made it easier. And they actually replaced the obstacle that was in the 5th position. It was, I saw some people calling it like ball stretcher or something like that. In the 5th position, that was never the official name, to my understanding. But that got replaced with what we now know as the pipe dream. So yeah, there was a little bit of shenanigans. They really wanted someone to win the $1 million this year. That's why Stage 2 is easier. That's why we have a safety pass. That's why they stopped Stage 3 mid-production and made that easier too. It was all because they want that $1 million winner. And this is not the first time they've done stuff like this. You know, they've made changes. They've done stuff like that before, and it's just part of the A&W experience, I suppose. It just adds to what I've been saying, in that American Ninja Warrior, the program that you see on NBC, is not a sport. That is, I think, one of the most important things to remember. It is not a sport. It is a television show. And it will always be a television show. It will never be a sport. There may be, some ninja leagues out there, like NNL or the other ones that might turn ninja into more of a sport. But at the end of the day, Ninja Warrior, the ones that you see on television, is a show, and that's all there is to it. And even the original in Japan, like, that was never designed to be a sport. It was based off of Super Mario Brothers. It's a show. So that's just some of the behind the scenes stuff that was worth mentioning. There was something else worth mentioning. Oh, that's right, of course. All right, so so one thing that is also worth mentioning is that the person who ran the Facebook account for American Ninja Warrior made a major boo-boo. So Monday afternoon, the official Ninja Warrior Facebook had this post. It scheduled a premiere It says Ninja Warrior plans to premiere a video. It all comes down to this: Drew Drechsel versus Daniel Grill, American Ninja Warrior, for $1 million. So yes, the person running the Facebook account accidentally spoiled ahead of time that it was going to come down to Drew and Daniel. Now, one other thing that is worth mentioning is the fact that, like, you know, me predicting that there's going to be a final stage clear this season, it's no secret at all. Basically, it was after Seattle Tacoma is when they first revealed it. Basically, the preview. I remember normally I avoid watching the previews, but because Baltimore was the next episode and I was there, I'm like, I'll watch the preview because it doesn't make a difference. I was there. I know what happens. And that's when they first say, someone is going to win it all this season. And that was the moment where I was just like, wow. And they've been saying it so much. They've been saying it on social media. I know, like, Eisman and Akbar and Zuri, they've all been posting someone's going to win this year. It's been going crazy. And I know I've said in my changes that I want in American Ninja War, I said I want less spoilers. I know other people have the same feeling that I do in regards to spoilers in the previews and the ads that NBC produces, but at the end of the day, it works. The American Ninja War season finale posted its highest rating of the season. The last episode did. It was like over 5 million viewers, and in the key demographic, which is 18 to 34, it actually scored a higher rating than Dancing with the Stars, 1.1 as opposed to Dancing with the Stars getting a 1.0. And that's in the key demographic. So it paid off. It paid off. And we already know season 12 is happening. They already announced it, that it's coming, which is good. It's actually the first time, I feel like it's the first time they announced a season this early. I feel like usually it's like we get closer and closer to the end of the year and we're like, are they going to announce the new season? And then they do, and now, but this time we got a lot sooner. So get your applications ready, everyone. I wonder, so, like, I just want to say, these reviews are always, like, assuming that you know what the results are of the episode, or you just don't care that I'm spoiling it. I wonder, like, I know Drew has to reapply next year. He said he's running again next year. I am kind of curious of, like, how much does he really have to put in his application video? Like, are they really going to, like, not accept him because it wasn't a good enough application? It's like, they love him. They want him back, totally. But, like, I imagine the application is like, hi, my name is Drew Drechsel. I won the show. You should probably invite me back. That's all he's got to say. That's all he's got to say. So, anything else I need to talk about? Yes. How about we talk about the actual, we'll talk about Stage 3. And then we'll talk about Stage 3, Stage 4, then we'll talk about my prediction results and the final results of the episode and of the season, of the remaining results of the season. I'm not going back to Stage 1 and 2. Discuss all those results, but let's get on to Stage 3. So Stage 3 as a whole, even though there was some, unfortunately, some behind-the-scenes shenanigans happening, it was good to watch. It was a good Stage 3. I feel like this is actually one of the better Stage 3s that A&W has produced. The Stage 3 had some weird stuff, but nothing in the past, that is, but I don't know, nothing that I'm like, oh, that's stupid. Like, the propeller bar is really the only one where I'm like, why is that there? But that doesn't really matter. So, looking back, let me think for a second. Yeah, okay. So, for Stage 3, first up is Grip and Tip, which they're going to make it easy for me this time when a certain individual get to his run. Basically, it's a pair of tilting battering rams. So you get on the battering ram, midway it tilts the other way, then you gotta jump and get to the next one, do some transfers. And then there's Iron Summit, which is a crossbreed of the Iron Maiden and the Northwest Passage. So first, when you're going up, it's Maiden and then Passage, and then going down, it's Passage to Maiden. Then is the Crazy Clocks once again. Gotta do this, go whoop, just like that. Fairly easy obstacle. In fact, I saw some suggestions that maybe you can put this in stage 2, perhaps in the snapback position, because it's not that hard compared to the rest of the stuff of stage 3. It's still difficult, but it could work in a stage 2, possibly. I'm not saying you should, but it could. And then is the Ultimate Crazy Cliffhanger, which has a different path this year. Only one 180 jump as opposed to 2. And one of the things that I noticed is just how freaking huge those rails are. Just after watching Sasuke so much, and their rails are only 3 centimeters, I'm looking at A&W, and they say they're 2 inches wide, which is 5.1 centimeters, for those of you unfamiliar with the conversion. It's just so much bigger. And when you're doing the 180 like that, the ledge is even bigger then. They're wide ledges. It's very wide. And plus, they got like a bit of a curvature to it. Not as bad as years past, but they got a bit of a lip to them to make it easier to grab, as opposed to Sasuke, where it's just a straight rectangle. The dismount itself is not easy, as we've seen in the past. The 180 is actually a little difficult because there's like a wall in the way, so it kind of hinders your swing a little bit. And then we got Pipe Dream, which the beginning is kind of weird because it's a rope to a platform, but the platform tilts, so it can be weird to get on if you're not careful. And then it's a bunch of poles. It's kind of like the pole grasper, but more advanced. It's got, the poles are slick, they're bendy, and the last 2 are thick pipes that drop a little bit like a Sidewinder, but nowhere near as big or as big of a drop as the Sidewinder in Sasuke. And then is Cane Lane, and then you finish off with the Flying Bar. Sorry. One other thing I want to point out is that I saw some comments of people saying, oh, they saw someone in a red shirt climbing the final stage in like preview footage, and when they showed I made sure to make a note of this. When they showed the final stage this time around, I noticed that was Jake Murray. So that answers your question of who's the man in red on the final stage. It was Jake Murray doing a demo run. Specifically so they wouldn't show ahead of time. Now, the editing of the episode itself made it very obvious that we were going to have $1 million winner, because they barely mentioned the last man standing rule for the $100,000, because like, they only mentioned it twice. Once at the very beginning, during the opening montage, where Drew said, last man standing isn't good enough. And then during the final run, Daniel Gill, where they said if he fails, Drew will guaranteed at least $100,000 for last man standing. And that's the only other time. Every time else, they were like, "Ooh, we might get $1 million winner this episode," and they flash back to Isaac and Jeff and what happened with that, and it's just, yeah, they made it very clear. But at the same time, can't argue with ratings. Business is business, and you can't argue with results. So I don't know. Whenever I complain, usually I back it up with saying, "Oh, the ratings are dropping," but I can't this time. So I can only do so much arguing and complaining. So I won't. So the first person they showed was Ryan Stratus, and I liked the fact that they acknowledged that he made it to stage 3 in Japan for A&W 3. They flashed back to that footage. I do like that. I like it when A&W acknowledges its history, especially the older stuff, which they don't always do. Unfortunately, Ryan went out on Iron Summit when transferring between the Northwest Passage section and the Iron Maiden. Going down, he had some mix-up with hand placement. He ended up slipping out and falling into the water. What's unfortunate is that Ryan, the first time around, made it to cliffhanger, and on his rerun, which was his official run, he failed earlier, so that's unfortunate. Then they showed Michael Torres, and this, oh boy, this was a long profile piece. I know I said I didn't want like a lot of profile pieces, and it wasn't too bad this episode. I would have liked to have seen less. This is one I could have used a lot less of, just because it's like, it spent more time talking about Ethan Swanson than it did Michael Torres. It's talking about, like, why is there so many good ninjas in Chicago? It's because Ethan invited all of us, and, I walk about the bond, and, like, it's like, just get on with it. Torres was looking good, but unfortunately, so he got to the ultimate cliffhanger. Torres was looking, he looked a bit shaky, grabbing the ledge for the 180 flip. But unfortunately, he failed the dismount. He reached the platform, but didn't reach far enough, and he just fell into the water, and it was really unfortunate. In a fast-forward segment, Chris DeGangi failed the flip section of the ultimate cliffhanger. And then they went straight to Ethan Swanson's run, and he slipped off the final rail of the ultimate cliffhanger, getting ready for that dismount. It's weird, because like Akbar, I think it was Akbar, who tried to make it sound like he got a bad jump, and it's like, no, he clearly slipped off the rail, because like just the way that his body spun, it's like, yeah, that's not a bad throw, that's just a letting go. In another fast forward, Hunter Gerard also failed at the very end of the ultimate cliffhanger. And then, much to my surprise, they showed Lucas Reale. Hey, Lucas! I'm so happy to see him get to run. They did a little profile about his father again. I don't want to go too much into that. I know it means a lot to him, and it's gotta be tough with the timing of Las Vegas. I hope it doesn't affect him. But he ended up making it to the pipe dream, and it sounds like it sounds like he was the first person to make it, because he seemed very surprised by how slick the pipes were. It seems like the trick to pipe dream is you gotta grab high and rely mostly on your upper body, because your feet are gonna slip and slide and stuff. Unfortunately, he ended up sliding down halfway through. Didn't work out, but an amazing run by Lucas, and I believe this is only his second year. I'm proud of you, buddy. You did a good job. You did a really good job, Lucas. Hopefully, I'll get to see you in NNL this year. So, real proud of you. Next up, they showed Joe Morosky. They mentioned how he has the record for the most Stage 3 appearances than any other competitor. And if those of you wondering, it's one more than Drew. I always get the exact number wrong, but they go through a flashback record of all his fails, and he's like, I want to reach that flying bar. It's haunting him. So Joe, actually, he was going at a pretty good pace. Unfortunately, he tore his hand on the ultimate cliffhanger. I don't know how much it affected him, but you can tell he was really looking at it. He had that hand tear, and he was going at a relatively aggressive pace, and he got super aggressive on Cane Lane, actually skipping the little trough at one point, and he got to the final jump from the 90 degree rail to another rail jump, and unfortunately he misaimed, and he actually got on the wrong side of on the left side of the left support pole, which gave him only like an inch of hold on the rail, and he slipped right off. The biggest comparison I can make is Yuji Urushihara in Sasuke 25 on the double salmon ladder. This was the first time double salmon ladder existed. He went for the transfer and ended up getting caught in a way that seemingly defies physics, where the stopper on the end, like, he fell off, but the stopper got hooked on one of the rungs, and so he's hanging, and he technically hasn't failed yet, but there's nothing he can do, and he's hanging, and it's just like, what's he supposed to do? He ended up failing. Don't get me wrong, that's where he ended up failing. But it's like, what is happening? And yeah, the way Joe, I don't think Joe could land in that exact position again if he tried. But unfortunately, he's out because he missed aim the cane. I don't think he was being too aggressive. The secret to stage 3 is to not spend. It's basically to spend as little time on the obstacles as possible. That's obstacle courses in general. Gotta get through. So that's where he ends this time. In more fast forwards, R.J. Roman unfortunately went out on the Iron Summit. And then we had Drew Drechsel, who actually did run somewhere in the middle of stage 3, just because that's where he finished in stage 2. For those of you unaware, for stages 2 and 3, the actual run order when they film is slowest goes first, fastest goes last of the previous stage. So they talked about Drew's long flashback of his career. I noticed there was some copyrighted music. They were really hyping him up, and the one thing that it's really hard to commentate. He looked good on the horse. What could I say? He looked really good. The one thing I made sure to make a note of is when he got to Pipe Dream, specifically the pipe dropping section. Matt went on to say, I believe it was Matt, that he's never been on this obstacle before, and it's like, dude, Drew's been to Sasuke like many times, where the Sidewinder is, right? And it does the exact same thing. He's done this type of obstacle before, so yeah, not really true. By the time when he got to the flying bar, I knew he was clearing. It just came down to whether or not he could aim the bar correctly, and I knew he could. I knew he was going to do it, and he did. He did right there. I was honestly, I didn't pick him just because, for two reasons. One, everyone picked him. I wanted to shoot my shot. I wanted to, that way, if I end up being right with Sean Bryan or Daniel Gale, I want to look like the big smart guy. But also, I was concerned about stage 3 because it seemed like there was when it came to the regular season, there was always something that tripped him up. Usually it was like a mental error or something, but he seemed really focused this time around. One of the things that I want to mention is that the AEW podcast, they interviewed Drew this week, and he said he actually built a snapback before Las Vegas. I bring this up because Matt said that, this is not an obstacle that people can practice, and in fact, Matt was wrong because Drew did practice it because he built it. He also went on to explain that weird twisting, swinging move that he did is because the version he built, the rubber bands were too strong, and so he had to do that to get the momentum correctly. So, sort of a incorrect practice based on the actual specs of the obstacle. And I got a story I want to tell, but I will get to that in a little bit later. And then in fast forward, Tyler Gillette failed Kane Lane. I can't believe they fast forward Tyler Gillette 3 times. Then next up was Carson Williams. They mentioned that he was the oldest person on stage 3 at 38 and by far the biggest. Carson looked good. I didn't know Carson had this in him. I knew he was a good competitor, but he surprised me. And for someone his size, stage 3 is not easy because he's got a lot more weight to carry, and he can only get so slim because he's just a naturally bigger dude. So you really got to work on that upper body. He ended up making it to Pipe Dream. He slipped off. This also the first run where I learned that the wall tips the starting wall. So that was kind of weird, but a good season for Carson. I'm glad he was able to really break out. More fast forward, Tyler Smith failed the Pipe Dream. And then, just as I thought, they featured Seth Rollins. He is the youngest ever on stage 3. And they did this weird thing where they showed Akbar, Zuri, and Matt at 19. They did a little recap of his career, and Seth owned it. Seth just really owned it this time. Matt had a comment where he referred to the chorus as Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I like that. He was actually, when he got to the 1/8 section, he was shaking out mid while holding on to the cliff, but I'm just like, is that a good idea? I don't know. Maybe she's getting off, but he ended up doing it. He barely made the landing of the cliffhanger, but he held on. Ended up making it all the way to Cane Lane, but I believe he's the one who, the first jump over the peg, he went off course and he went into the water. So, unfortunate, but he looked good doing it. And, best run by a 19-year-old ever. Furthest 19-year-old, first rookie since A&W 5 to reach stage 3. Seth Rollins has a lot to be proud of. I hope we see good things from him in the future. And then, in more fast forwards, Nate Burkhalter failed Iron Summit. Casey Suhaki failed the cliffhanger, and Kevin Carbone failed Cane Lane. What is interesting is Kevin Carbone, just like Tyler Gillette, got triple fast forward, even though he made it to Cane Lane, which is crazy. Crazy that he never had a run shown at all. In fact, the only time for both of them, I believe, the only time Tyler and Kevin had a run shown was when they made it to the Power Tower, when the editing was forced to show them. Tyler did get an online run for the Atlanta Finals, but I just find it very surprising they got fast forward so much this season. Like even Kevin making up the Mega Wall got fast forward. That was very bizarre indeed. Then they had Matisse Awadi and okay. My handwriting sometimes makes it hard to read. There was a weird moment in the beginning of Grip and Tip where I could have sworn he grabbed a support pipe. When he was doing the transfer from the first to the second, I could have sworn he grabbed the support pipe by accident. And I'm like, should that be a disqualification? I don't know. It never came to play, seemingly, to my understanding. So, I don't know, maybe I saw things, maybe I wasn't, but whatever, moving on. He ended up failing the ultimate cliffhanger. When he got to the final ledge, he made the mistake of putting his hands on top of each other. That is a big no-no on the cliffhanger, and he ended up going into the water as a result. He did well. He did well overall. I know I rag on them overhyping Matisse, but generally speaking, the kid delivers. In another fast forward, Carson Voiles went out on Cane Lane, and then they showed Adam Rail. They did a big career recap of him, and I'm like, all right, he's going to do it. Adam was looking really good at this point on this course. That's just the big thing I was thinking. I'm like, oh, man, he's got this. He looks so good. He looks so good. He gets to Cane Lane. He gets to the last ledge, and like, yes, he's got this. He's going on to the final stage, and he grabs the rest bar, and then he let go of the rest bar because the momentum was pulling him back, and he's trying to get his feet onto it. He's trying to everything to try to move and get him over, and it's like, oh no, and not like this. And he falls into the water, and I'm just like, no, he was right there. No, I wanted to see Adam. Like, oh God, man, this was a good year for Adam. On Vegas, he finally got past stage 2, broke that curse that he was experiencing. We got to see him grab his battering ram in the beginning and give it a little tip. Just a tip. Because, dudes rock hard, as always. But, man, it's just, he couldn't work his way up the pole and grab the safety bar and stay on it. And so what's weird is that officially, they even mentioned this on the TV show, officially he's counted as clearing Cane Lane, and so he technically failed the flying bar, which I think is really dumb. If you, in my opinion, if you fall backwards into the previous obstacle, you didn't clear the obstacle. You undo the perceived clear. So, in my mind, that doesn't count. But they counted it. So, technically, Adam Rail finishes in third place because he failed the flying bar, even though he didn't actually fail the flying bar. When I do my recap, I'm not counting that as a flying bar fail. He failed Cane Lane. Let me make that perfectly clear. He failed Cane Lane. But hey, much respect to Adam. He did well. Cheers to you. And then, okay. They did a Isaac and Jeff flashback to kind of tell you how things went for season 3. They're like, Isaac failed. Isaac cleared midway, and then Jeff was the last competitor, and he cleared. I don't know if he actually was the last competitor. I don't know. I wasn't there. So the last two people, who I believe were legit the last two people, well, if I just quickly look at the Stage 2 results. Let me see. Yeah. They were indeed legit the last two competitors. Josh Salinas and Daniel Gill. Josh Salinas, very, very shockingly, went out on grip and tip. He, in the transfer from the first to second batting ram, he slipped and went in the water. And it was just like, whoa. Oh yeah, one thing I want to mention. I forgot to mention this. This is a big thing because I got to call out A&W for this. They showed Drew Dreschel after the Isaac and Jeff flashback. They showed him looking at an iPhone or Android phone. He's watching Isaac's technique, and it's like the most obvious like green screen like added on in post video footage. It looked so fake and so dumb. And it's like, also, I imagine at this point Drew has trained the rope a lot. I don't think he needs to study technique. If he was going to study technique, he would have done it already. It was so lame. Like, could you imagine you do all this training for the first 3 stages and you're like, oh crap, I forgot there was a 4th stage. I better quickly study before I have to run. Like, no, we didn't do that. Don't be ridiculous. And then the final run was Daniel Gill. Honestly, Gill looked great on Stage 3. I made a note how he was going fast through the crazy clocks in the ultimate cliffhanger. He looked good on Cane Lane, and he ended up clearing the course. He was the last run of the night, legit. He cleared the course. He actually ended up clearing 1 second faster than Drew, which is a big deal because that determines the order for the final stage. Now, I have a little story to tell you, but before I do that, we're going to talk about the full results for Stage 3. I'm not going to make you wait. So, full results for Stage 3. 21 people took on the course. We ended up seeing 12 full runs and 9 fast forwards, which means, of course, no one got cut. We had 1 fail on grip and tip in Josh Salinas, 3 fails in the Iron Summit in Nate Burkhalter, Ryan Stratus, and RJ Roman. No one failed the crazy clocks, but 6 people failed the ultimate cliffhanger in Hunter Garrard, Michael Torres, Matisse Awadi, Chris DeGangi, Ethan Swanson, and Casey Suhaki. 3 people failed Pipe Dream in Karsten Williams, Lucas Reale, and Tyler Smith. 6 people, yes, 6 people, failed Cane Lane in Seth Rogers, Kevin Carbone, Carson Voiles, Tyler Gillette, Joe Morosky, and yes, Adam Rail. Despite what A&W says, I'm not counting that as a flying bar fail, which means no one failed flying bar, and we end up finishing Stage 3 with 2 completions. Drew Dreschel, who finished in 7 minutes 36.95 seconds, and Daniel Gill, who finished in 7 minutes and 35.13 seconds. So, almost 2 full seconds, but second apart. And that is your full Stage 3 results. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention. So, I want to tell you guys a little story. So, Sunday morning, I make my predictions video. I posted Sunday afternoon. I would have done it Saturday, but I was busy sleeping. I took a long nap. I was very tired on Saturday. between a wedding and an exercise, intense ninja gym exercising. I was in no condition to do a video. But I do my predictions video, post the video, it goes live, like, all right, everything's good. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to do some errands. And while I'm going to do that, I'm going to pull up the A&W podcast. I haven't listened to it yet. I haven't listened to the latest episode yet. I see the episode's Daniel Gill. I start listening to it, listen to the whole thing while I'm doing my errands. I do all my last things. I'm in the car, I'm in the parking lot in the car, getting ready to leave. And I get to the end of the episode. And at the end of the episode, the host, Nikki Lee, who, by the way, just shout out to Nikki Lee. She did such a great job with A&W Nation and the interviews. I'll talk about it more when I do a special review of the digital content for A&W this year. But shout out to Nikki Lee. I don't know if she actually watches these or not, but if you do, Nikki, you did a good job. Let me know if you saw this. Send me a tweet through the A&W Nation account, then I'll know you did a good job. A&W Nation, good job, everyone. She works hard. I saw her in Baltimore a little bit. I was like, hey, thank you for featuring me. And she's like, you're welcome. She's very nice. Got to talk to her a little bit, though, in person. Very little bit. Wish I could have talked to her more. But, she's busy working. So, can't bother her too much. But at the end of the episode of the Daniel Gill interview, she said, join me next week for an interview with a very special ninja. And it was at that moment that I realized, oh no. I said something a little more adult, but I was like, oh no. Next week's interview is going to be with the American Ninja Warrior champion, which means it's not Daniel Gill. And then I looked and saw who hasn't been interviewed yet. And I noticed Drew Drechsel hasn't been interviewed yet. And I'm just like, it's going to be Drew, isn't it? I mean, technically it could have been Adam Rail. I could have been still partially right. But I just looked at it and I'm just like, it's going to be Drew. And that brings us to the final stage. So, final stage is a 75-foot rope climb that must be completed in 30 seconds. And it's a little taller from the previous one that Isaac and Jeff won. Drew ended up going first. They said Daniel chose to go second. I don't know if that's true or not, because last time with Isaac and Jeff, they claimed Isaac chose to go second, and that wasn't true. He just was told to go second. But Drew goes first, and I, honest to goodness, because of the editing, I thought Drew was going to fail, or he was going to be slower of the two. By the way, I just want to point out, they actually did confirm on television that they brought back the fastest clear wins the million only rule, which I think is so dumb. But they did it. They did it anyway. They want to hand out a physical check that says $1 million. They don't want to hand out a check that says two checks that say $500,000. But they hand a check. So Drew goes first. I thought he was going to fail, and then he ended up clearing with 2.54 seconds left, and my jaw actually dropped. I was actually shocked that he went first and cleared, because I thought he wasn't going to clear. I guess he really upped his rope climbing, because I've always kind of questioned his rope climbing from what I saw and just kind of talking. I was a bit worried about his rope climbing skills, but he was able to pull it off and pull himself up fast enough. So good for him. And then they go to Daniel. I like that there was no commercial break; just go straight into it. It's not long. You can put both of them together. What I thought was a little messed up is that they had Drew stay at the top. And the reason I thought that was messed up is that if it's kind of agonizing. You could tell it was a bit agonizing for Drew, and it's like, if Daniel got to the top first and beat him, if Daniel got to the top faster, it's like, hey, I win. Surprise, you don't get the million, Drew. It's like, that was weird. I was just like, how cruel is that? But they had him wait at the top, and Daniel is, he's going up. He starts very fast. I actually thought, when he was halfway up the tower, I thought, oh my God, he is going to make it. But then he starts slowing down tremendously, much to my surprise, and he didn't make it. He didn't. Not only did he not clear faster than Drew, he didn't clear. Period. He failed. He failed with about 5 feet left, maybe even less. But Drew is your $1 million winner. He is your next champion. There is no controversy this time. Drew is the winner, and I was honestly surprised. I was honestly shocked. Drew, I don't know. Drew is someone who I thought always had the potential to do it, but there was always something holding him back, you know? There was always like that one weird thing that would happen to mess him up. And I guess technically that happened, but he had a safety pass to save him. Maybe that's it. Maybe he needed a safety pass to allow him to win the $1 million. I don't know. That's weird. It does bring up an interesting question of, will people look at Drew differently because of the whole safety pass thing? You know, his win is not as good. I don't care. Honestly, it's a game show. It's not a sport. I fundamentally disagree with the safety pass? Yeah, kind of. I'd have a bigger problem if they introduced it to Sasuke, to be honest, but it's like, you know what, A&W, come up with whatever dumb gimmicks you want. Whatever. But yeah, it just felt very weird because it always just felt like Drew was going to be one of those people who like got so very close but like always missed out. And then he didn't. It was just very weird. Because it's like, oh, he actually did it. Good for him. Good for him. Drew pulled it off. So, yeah. And that's it. That's the end of the season. That's the end of the episode. Drew recently was on Ellen. He got his $1 million check while being interviewed on Ellen. And that's American Ninja Warrior Season 11. That's it. That's everything. So the final results for the final stage, Drew Jessel completed with 2.54 seconds left on the clock, and Daniel Gill failed. So let's just go through some results. Before I go through my prediction results, I have a special question. For everyone who made it this far, I want you to know in the comments, there's a few things I want you to write in the comments. Obviously, your thoughts on the stage 3, your thoughts on the final stage. I want to hear all that. Thoughts on your season as a whole. But I think the big question I want to hear from you is, what changes would you like to see for Season 12 of American Ninja Warrior? It could be rules changes. It could be obstacle changes. It could be whatever. What changes would you like to see for American Ninja Warrior Season 12? Let me know in the comments below. But let's take a quick look at my predictions. So, my Stage 1 predictions. This is where I try to predict all 4 stages before Stage 1 even airs. I said 33 people were going to clear Stage 1. It was actually 28. I said 7 people were going to clear Stage 2. It was actually 21. I never thought it was going to be that high. I originally guessed only 1 person was going to clear Stage 3. Ended up being 2. And I guessed 1 person was going to clear the final stage because because I was being cute. So I was being right. So even though I technically cheated, because look, full disclosure, I saw the ads. I knew we were going to get a winner. It was just a matter of how many. But yeah, I was right in the end. In the end, of the 86 people who qualified for Vegas, I correctly guessed the results of 51 of them, and I was incorrect about the remaining 35. So between Stage 1, Stage 2, and Stage 3, I was correct about 51 of them. And then before Stage 2, I made another crack at it. This one didn't do too hot. I originally guessed, then I upped my ante to 10. Again, 21. 1 Stage 3 clear, got 2. 1 final stage clear, so still right on that. But in terms of individual results, only 13 right and 15 wrong of the 28. Yikes. And then for my Stage 3 predictions, I guessed that we would have 2 Stage 3 clears, which I was right, and 1 final stage clear, which I was also right about. And I got 25 people right and only 3 people wrong. And then to up the ante, I guessed how many people and who would get full runs shown. I ended up getting 9 of the 12 people correct. So actually that's not too bad when it comes to predictions. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of my coverage of American Ninja Warrior Season 11. Honestly, it's overall, it was a good season. There were some ups, there were some downs, there was, some big downs. I didn't care for Baltimore, even though I was there in person. The Atlanta qualifiers episode, I had some problems with the whole sponsor thing. Stage 2, wish it wasn't too easy, but like Stage 1 was great to watch. Some of the regionals were generally good. We saw some good obstacles, some bad obstacles. It was a mix, but overall, I would say probably a good season overall. I enjoyed it overall. I certainly liked it more than I hated it. Obviously, if you watch the episode, you'll saw there was some episodes where I was just like, I didn't like it. For me, one of the biggest changes that they got to do for next season, change the final stage, please. Just change it, replace it with something else. The fact that it's still, we've had 2 winners now. We've had 2 seasons with a winner, and it's still just a rope climb, is insane. Every time there's a winner in Sasuke, they change the final stage. A&W certainly has the ability to make it something other than a rope climb, and they should. Make it a spider climb into a rope climb. Make it a spider climb into a salmon ladder into a rope climb. That's the current version of Sasuke. Do something, because something is better than nothing. And I just want them to change. And so that's it. We're all done. The original plan, just to give you a little full disclosure, I actually bought a party popper, which I put up there on the shelf. I was going to, turn in and it explodes and be like, hey, thanks for watching, goodbye. But unfortunately, after I bought it, I was reading the instructions on the canister, and it basically said that if I do it in this room, I'm going to mess up my ceiling. And I don't want to do that. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to use the party popper for something else outside. So, to compensate, I have these, what are these called? These hand blasters. They're out of rails. No, I'm kidding. Out of rails hand blasters. So, for the party popper, you're supposed to get a pop in, like a bunch of confetti comes out. So, here's some pops. Ooh. There we go. Pop. 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 There we go. Ooh, that's a good one. There we go. So for celebration, celebrate the end of the season. And now, of course, we need some confetti. So what better confetti than all my notes that I used for the entirety of the season. Hopefully it doesn't break anything. Whew. There we go. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. This has been the end of the season. I've had a lot of fun doing these videos. Thank you so much for watching, for commenting, for subscribing. I'm so happy that we were able to hit my goal of 1,000 subscribers. And I've already been remonetized by YouTube. And I cannot thank you all enough. It's impossible. Thank you so much. And until next time, I'll see you for Season 12 and a bunch of stuff in between. But thank you, everyone. I'm free!